What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the PBL. This is week 1 of our new season. I am Jacob, the coach of the Ecruteak City Stantlers, and this week we were playing against Mike, the coach of the Cianwood City Magikarps. When I was prepping for his team, I was definitely planning for a little bit different than what I ran into. I put a lot of emphasis on getting ready for Z conversion. However, you'll see very shortly that that was not the case in this battle at all. But that being said, let's go ahead and jump right in here. We're going to go ahead and start that up. And, my plan, I didn't really have a super crazy battle plan this week. It was really just to bring a bunch of wall breakers and see what we can make happen. So I do lead off with Raikou Thundercats, and we are met with a Balboa, also known as Rhyperior. Definitely straight out of left field with this one, but very clearly I could not stay in with Raikou because I would die to the face. So we switch out, easy peasy, we go straight into Purple Haze, the Weezing #1 best Pokemon from low tier last season. We do have Rhyperior using Toxic, which we are totally immune to, and we get the quick burn off. Was a little bit surprised that he didn't switch out to let a special Pokemon take the burn, but that's totally fine by me. Goes for the Rock Slide, Rock Climb. Does a minimal amount of damage to Purple Haze, but unfortunately he gets confused. I don't believe that's a 100% chance, but whatever, it doesn't really matter too much, as, confusion isn't that bad. Especially in this gen after the nerf. So, we do actually get through the confusion, so that's nice. We do get a Flamethrower off. I was kind of expecting him to switch out to something else now that he got burned, but that's okay. And he does go in for an Ice Punch just to see how much damage he does, and it was very minuscule, to say the least. At this point, I was definitely expecting him to switch out of here. I figured there was very little chance of anybody staying in when this is what's going on. You can see that Weezing is really winning this fight. He's going to win it 10 out of 10 times at this rate. So he switches out to his Jirachi. I did go for Will-O-Wisp on this turn, hoping that I could just make this Iron Heads hurt a little bit less, but unfortunately I did end up hitting myself in confusion. So, I was kind of upset about that one during the game, but at the same time, hacks are hacks, they're going to happen. So we do end up switching out. We're getting out of there. We're bringing in D-Drizzle, defensive Pokemon of the year from last season. And he's going to take this Iron Head extremely well. He's especially defensive Empoleon this week. We ran a physical defense, Weezing, special defense, Empoleon core. So we're just kind of playing around that. It does scare out the Jirachi because I do get to click Knock Off for free right here with, no worries at all. We do go for Knock Off, and unfortunately we didn't get any items to be knocked off of Garchomp, but the good thing is that we know that it's Mega for sure. Either that, or it's not holding an item, which is very, it's not likely. Earthquake is obvious, so we do switch out into Purple Haze, who is also our physical wall. So even if he decides to go for something like Dragon Claw, we should be okay. We do read the Earthquake pretty well, so we come in, we get to take it pretty easily. This is week 1, so a lot of people are just making safer plays, so that way, they can try to start off on a good foot. He does end up going for the Mega Evolution, bringing in the Mega Garchomp, so his speed is reduced, but everything else goes up. However, we do get the Will-O-Wisp. Now, I do notice here that we went first, so there's really only one option as to what he's doing. He's going for a Dragon Tail. So he's swapping us out. We're going to get knocked right out of there, but we do get the crucial burn off, just, taking the edge off this crazy shark monster. Unfortunately, D-Drizzle was brought out, and he was, the last dude I wanted to be brought out against this Garchomp here. Even when he's burned, an Earthquake does 80% to this thing, so there's no way I can stay into that. I do have to switch out, and I honestly just go right back into Purple Haze. I figure if he wants to Dragon Tail me again, that's cool. If not, that's fine as well. He does go for Stealth Rocks, though, so good play, good read on the switch there. I thought I could catch him Earthquaking twice in a row, but, it is what it is. So that rocks are up on my side. That's a little unfortunate. The good thing is I don't have anybody super weak to rock this year, so that's nice. He does switch out to bury his Strike Up. As I just go for Flamethrower, I was just going for some damage here, just trying to see if I can whittle away at somebody. And luckily we actually do a little bit of damage to this thing. I was kind of expecting Purple Haze to do absolutely nothing with that Flamethrower. I decided to keep him in to take this Thunderbolt. I was kind of ready to sacrifice him, honestly. He got down to a pretty low amount, but I don't really know what changed in my mind, but something told me, hey, you should really hold on to this Weezing, because right now it's the only thing kind of stopping some of these more physical Pokemon from just wrecking through your lightweight team. So to catch this Thunderbolt, I just thought I'd switch into Popeye, our Conkeldurr. He is Assault Vested this week. He takes the Volt Switch extremely well. He probably honestly could have taken it a little bit better, but he took it good enough for this match. This is all the action that he really got to see this time. Simon comes out, and that is an Air Slash coming my way. I could have tanked probably 2 to 3 of them for sure, but I just didn't really want to play around with the flinch chance and everything. So we do switch out into Thundercats Raikou. Show off our pressure here a little bit. He goes for the Air Slash. It was avoided. It didn't really matter at the end of the day, but, it is what it is. Now here I figured he would switch out into Garchomp, so I did just decide to go for my Hidden Power Ice. He goes for Thunder Wave. I guess he thought I was switching out as well, maybe doing a double swap. So here I just kind of stuck to my guns. Now I'm Ghosty MZ in this game, but I figured that on one of these he was going to switch out into his Garchomp, or just expecting me to switch back to Thunderbolt. So I do Hidden Power Ice again, and I do it a third time as well. And that one again is just chunking away at this Togekiss that I could have one-shot 4 turns ago with Thunderbolt. He goes for an Aura Sphere, and it does, pretty significant damage, but obviously I'm going to win this battle. So now he decides to switch, and of course, it is on the one turn that I decide to go for Thunderbolt. Now, unfortunately, that doesn't work at all, and the double unfortunate thing is that from this point, Hidden Power Ice is a 2-hit KO, so I can't stay in because I'll definitely die after the damage from Aura Sphere. However, we go back out into Purple Haze once more, and I believe we catch an Earthquake. Yeah, we definitely do catch another Earthquake here. So, we're reading those really easily. They're not that hard to spot in this game. Mike is definitely just throwing them out there, so... but honestly, I respect the strategy. You just got to go for what you can go for. Now here I expected a Dragon Tail, so I figured, maybe I can get a Pain Split off, recover some HP before I get phased out of here. And that's exactly what's going to happen. We do get some of our HP back. He does get a crit, but luckily we still ended up with more HP than when we started at. So we do bring in Empoleon. He comes in against the Garchomp once again under the whole, getting Dragon Tail phased out over and over again life. Now here I believe I calced it out and found out that Empoleon would live an Earthquake pretty handily. It would do like 80%, but still he can survive. My priority here was getting rid of the Stealth Rock so that I could switch around a little more freely, not have to worry about that punishment. So we do go for a Defog on the switch. Lowers, the Jirachi's evasion, but that really doesn't matter for our squad right now. We're not really rocking anything sub 90 accuracy anyway. He goes for Wish here. That kind of took me by surprise. I was honestly expecting him to go for maybe a Thunder Wave, something to try to cripple me out, something to Serene Grace me to death. I do go for knockoff though and get the King's Rock, so he just shows an even little bit more scumbag level of trying to flinch me out. I'm expecting an Iron Head full force here, so I do just switch out to my Thundercats because I've got that Ghosty MZ to try to catch him off guard. He goes for Fire Punch. It does a pretty good amount of damage, but the sucky part is that I get burned, and you'll see why that matters in a couple seconds. Now I couldn't really figure out which set this was so far. The whole Ghosty MZ Never-Ending Nightmare thing, it really came down to if it was a special defensive Jirachi, he was definitely going to survive. And if it was a more offensive Jirachi, then, that it would have died for sure. It would have been a 100% KO. So we do go for Never-Ending Nightmare, not knowing which one it is. We did kind of go for a risk here, and it definitely caught him off guard. We were kind of talking via Discord during the game, and he was like, oh, wow, that... unfortunately, that did not take out the Jirachi, and he goes for Body Slam, which surprisingly leaves us at 1 HP, but unfortunately, the burn takes us out. If there's any consolation prize there, it's that Jirachi does not get the direct KO, but rather gets the indirect in terms of stats. So from here, we go out to Ugros, because we definitely can get off a free Earthquake. However, it seems super obvious in my mind, so I thought he might go out to Togekiss. So I do end up actually going for a Poison Jab here on the switch. Luckily we catch out Roy G. Biv, the Kecleon, and it actually does a surprisingly high amount of damage. I guess, just the Life Orb was pretty good. At this point, I don't think he's going to outspeed me because, he's base 40, so even with a Choice Scarf, he's not going to do that. So I just go for Earthquake, and it just takes him out. So Kecleon, I don't really know what the plan was. Post-game, I talked to Mike, and he said it was supposed to be like a Life Orb set. But regardless, it's out of this game, and that's all that really matters. Now, this Zebstrika throwing around HP Ice, I could have survived. It was possible, but I would have had to be very lucky. So in comes in D-Drizzle, Dr. Drizzle. He got his doctorate last season. Excuse me. He comes in to catch this HP Ice. And at this point, I figure, we should really just test out this dude's special bulk here. So we do just leave him in to take this Thunderbolt. He takes it pretty well, actually, considering the fact that it's super effective coming from a Life Orb stab Pokemon. Granted, it's Zebstrika, who doesn't really hit that hard, but, it is what it is. We go for a Scald. We totally miss because there's nobody to actually hit with it, but, such is life. And in comes in Balboa, the Rhyperior. So, he's pretty high up in health and probably had Solid Rock as his ability, but I went for a Scald anyway, and it just happened to take him out. I did end up looking up the calc after that one went through, and it was a pretty high roll, I'm not going to lie. It was somewhere between 80 and 90% that I could do, and based off where his health bar was sitting, it was definitely closer to the 90%. In comes in Simon. I figured that I can, definitely take an attack from this thing. It does go for an Aura Sphere here, and it does a pretty solid amount of damage, but we do survive, so that's always nice. We do go for Toxic. We're just trying to get some more stat points for our boy over here for deciding to come back to the Ecruteak City Stantlers for Season 1, technically, but Season 2 if you count the ERL from last year. So we do get our Toxic off. On second thought, I probably should have gone for Knockoff, but either way, this put some pressure on him trying to recover. I do switch out. I was kind of expecting him just to go for another Air Slash, but instead he does go for Roost, but we do bring in our Tapu Waifu, Tapu Lele, and things get weird. So he does go for the Roost, like I was just saying a couple seconds ago, and he does end up recovering, a pretty solid amount of HP. From here, it was a roll as to whether or not I would take this thing out. So, we just fire off a Psychic, and we hope, we pray. And luckily for us, the hacks go our way for another time, and we do get a critical hit. So we do take him out as Tapu Waifu gets her first crit of the year. In comes in Jirachi. Now, we are Choice Scarfed. I didn't really know, I knew that it wasn't going to do that much damage, but I wanted to see how much a Psychic would do. And unfortunately, it did pretty much nothing. And since I knew that this was a defensive Jirachi set, I knew that an Iron Head wouldn't kill me, but it took me hella close. So, so now we're sitting there at some pretty low levels of HP, expecting another Iron Head to come through. We do just switch out to Ugross, the Garchomp, knowing that he can pretty much take whatever this Jirachi's going to throw at him. So, it does handle that pretty well. The Rough Skin gets some chip damage, but that honestly wasn't too necessary. And from here, it's a pretty simple 1-2 punch. We go for the Earthquake first, and that does knock out the Jirachi, which gives Garchomp his second knockout for this game. And just note that Shiny Jirachi does look pretty cool. I do like the red tags. It's pretty dope. But from there, the weirdness goes away. In comes in Garfunkel, the Mega Garchomp, so we have a double dragon finish here. And it's all going to come down to who's faster, and since he's Mega, I am quicker than him, so my Dragon Claw does end up landing, and that is going to be good game to Mike. Yeah, so I am pretty thrilled about the fact that our first game in the PBL was a victory for us. Seriously, great game to Mike, though. He did a great job. The improvement is definitely coming along, and I'm excited to see where he goes for the rest of the season. We have doubled in size this season, so do keep an eye out for a bunch of really cool games. Our next game, I believe, is against Ian of the Mahogany Town Muse. Last season in the ERL, we battled in the Division Championship, so I'm expecting a pretty explosive battle in that one. But regardless, keep your eyes open and your ears open because we have a lot of great games coming your way, and stick around because you might find out that you like us. All right, guys, have a great day. We'll see you in the next week.